Returning to Canada's trade war with the U.S. now, the Port of Churchill could soon be a very strategic asset.
President Trump's trade war is affecting America's ports. Container shipment bookings are down nearly 50% from a year ago.
Major drops in cargo at U.S. ports due to tariffs.
The port can help Canadian products reach new markets in a fraction of the time. The port has seen a spike in interest with the threat of tariffs looming.
The Port of Los Angeles is the busiest in the Western Hemisphere. But now it's preparing for a dramatic slowdown.
The port stands ready to propel Canadian goods into fresh markets at breakneck speed. Yet, with tariff threats darkening the horizon, interest in the facility has surged. As the Western Hemisphere's most frenzied harbor, the Port of Los Angeles once thrummed with unyielding activity. But now it's bracing for a precipitous plunge, spanning North America. A fresh rift is erupting, utterly divorced from tariffs or trade lanes. This clash revolves around water alone. Donald Trump has zeroed in on Canada's rivers and lakes, branding them America's lifeline amid the South's choking drought. The claim is audacious, the onslaught unyielding, and Washington's drumbeat intensifies by the week. In Ottawa, the retort rings with unbowed resolve. Prime Minister Mark Carney, the understated financier thrust into the fray, now stands as the unyielding sentinel of Canadian independence. What started as spats over steel, timber, and vehicles has ballooned into a continental crisis that could upend power dynamics across the land. The burning question hangs heavy. How deep will this rift carve before the thirst for water ignites something truly perilous? Donald Trump's boldest salvo yet has ignited one of the fiercest tempests in U.S.-Canada ties. From a Washington podium, he painted Canada's waterways as an untapped reservoir, primed to slake the parched expanses of drought-ravaged America and steady the wobbling states desperate for relief. At the heart of his rhetoric loomed the Columbia River, a colossal vein snaking over 2,000 kilometers through the Pacific Northwest, dipping from British Columbia into U.S. soil. His ultimatum landed just as Washington hit pause on talks to overhaul the 1961 Columbia River Treaty, a decades-old accord that had deftly juggled flood safeguards and hydropower gains. In a single breath, Trump recast water from mutual stewardship to a high-stakes pawn, hinting that the U.S. would seize Canadian flows in the name of raw necessity. Ottawa reeled in disbelief. Grassroots advocates, Indigenous voices, and green alliances mobilized overnight, decrying any yield of water rights as a domino that could topple far beyond one stream. More than 80 alliances thundered their dissent, casting the grab as a direct strike at national essence. Prime Minister Mark Carney, ever the cool-headed economist, rarely the firebrand, delivered a rebuke of steel-edged clarity. Canada is no auction block, and its waters will never be bartered like wares to outsiders. His decree landed like a slammed gate, etched in stone. Within moments, what had been procedural diplomacy morphed into a transborder standoff, eyed with mounting dread not just from Vancouver to Veracruz, but from distant chanceries worldwide. Canada's Stonewall exacted swift toll on the U.S. western states, lured by visions of northern inflows, awoke to the bitter truth. Succor was a mirage. California, Nevada, and Arizona had pinned hopes on reroutes to salvage croplands, safeguard yields, and blunt the drought's endless siege. In California's Central Valley, the cradle of the nation's bounty, growers geared up for cascades that evaporated into thin air. Barren ditches and slashed quotas supplanted the hype, breeding fury through the farm belt. The ripple was colossal, for the Golden State's bounty nourishes the country. Nearly 40% of U.S. veggies, 2/3 of fruits and nuts, all sprout there. Starved of sustenance, crops faltered, outputs cratered, and shelves bore the brunt as prices spiked. Households, already squeezed by rising costs, watched the pinch hit home in every cart. Analysts fretted that deficits in greens, nuts, and reds would jolt worldwide webs of trade. A mere stump speech from the capital had infiltrated the hearths of everyday lives. Canadian cascades now thread into do-or-die designs. Whispers of fancy have hardened to fate's forge. Echoes from the past caution. 70s crude was no one's cudgel till OPEC's cutoff cracked the world and recast the board in a blink. Water packs that same seismic punch today. Carney's shutdown of Trump's thirst wasn't mere backbone. It was a billboard that Canada wields a wild card to rejigger the globe's grid. That echo rebounds past the Potomac. In drought-dueling Asia, regimes ink pacts for prairie produce, each link eroding U.S. sway while burnishing Canada's badge. By decade's end, the American West's wilds may bake in endless blaze.